All right. Welcome back to the channel, Indigo Angel. Come on into this dimension. I have a very exciting live for you guys this evening. We're going to be getting into some juicy topics, some popular topics, some trending topics. Not just a trending, it's ascending. It's activating in the fourth planetary Stargate in Giza. And that is all of the new discoveries that have been essentially found underneath the pyramids. And so, what's happening right now is I guess they did see some radar, some Doppler radars from the satellites. I believe it was satellites that they did this with, and they scanned about 4,500 feet below the three pyramids in Giza, and they found a bunch of stuff down there. And there's all kind of speculation as to what they found, what it actually is, what kind of technology is this, that there is actually an underground city, and that they found also a deep tomb belonging to Osiris down there that's resonating in a deep chamber. So this is all very interesting. This is all very fascinating, and everyone's really getting excited about it. Um, I think the main thing for me is that, we're remote viewers, we're channelers, we're psychic seers. So, I mean, this isn't really new news to us, I think, in the higher conscious community. We've always known that there's, you know, technology, underground tunnels, cities down there, and that it's all leading to other dimensions. It's all leading to other galactic systems and galactic realms. So, it's really just kind of, I think what we're seeing unfold is this information's coming to the light and it's surfacing in terms of being presented to the mainstream. And now we're getting to watch all these archaeologists and, people, in these fields, try to debunk it and call it fake news and things like this. But, you know, um, I think as technology continues to evolve, we're going to get better and better informations and scans and reads, so, to confirm these things that are down there. So, that's what's happening, that's what's occurring, and we're really excited to get into it and discuss all the ins and outs of this with you guys tonight. We're also going to be tying it into some also more information that's come forward within the CIA documents about the Ark of the Covenant and the true locations and the true whereabouts of this actually being discovered. And this is something we have been covering on my channel. We got into in a previous live recently talking about just that, the Ark of the Covenant, and this replica being located in Mar-a-Lago, and where Trump lives. So it's very interesting that, we just spoke about this and now these CIA documents are coming forward and tying all of these pieces of the puzzle together. And that's just how synchronistically it always happens. So, yeah, we have a lot to dive into with you guys tonight. And we're so excited that everyone's here. Come on in and check on in. Put a big like on this video. Check in the chat. Let us know that you guys are here with us. We will be checking the chat probably a lot tonight as we kind of filter through this conversation. I think that it's going to be a fun show to actually get everybody's input on this because, it's a big activation worldwide, and I think a lot of people are excited about what's being found there. I actually put the video of this out on my Instagram, and it got 1 million views. I couldn't believe it. I was like, wow, that's insane. So, I mean, this is a very, very exciting and, again, popular topic, but just it's an amazing discovery that, all this can be verified and backed up right now. So, it's really exciting, and I can't wait to talk about it with you guys. So, I have my Divine Sister crew here tonight. They're all bringing in a piece of this puzzle. We're all going to just take a second and say hello to everyone and give you a little personal update on how we're doing and kind of what's been happening in terms of the energies. Something we were just discussing coming on in is, how are we all feeling right now? Because everybody's kind of a little all over the place. So we'll just maybe start with that. And I'll start with Raquel since she is right next to me. So, hey Raquel, how you doing? And say hello to everyone watching.
Hi, everybody. Thank you, Indy, for welcoming me back to the show. It's been a while, but yeah, I'm so glad to be here. So I'm coming to you from just outside of Vancouver in British Columbia, Canada, representing my channel, All That Is. As you folks may know, I am an author of two books. I do my own energy healing work, helping the many to progress on this ascension journey. And yeah, we've all been feeling it. I know personally for myself, it's been a bit of a struggle, but as Indy says, the show must go on. So here we are. So I'm glad to be here and take part in this excited conversation. So thank you so much.
All right, I guess I'll go next. Hi, everyone. Again, thanks for having me on, Indy. I'm so happy to spend time with you guys and Raquel and Missy. And I am in Ashland, Oregon, 1 hour north from Mount Shasta. And I too have been feeling crazy energy coming forth. I just told the ladies that I felt like I've been sitting with ayahuasca for about 5 days because I feel this weird internal energy like inside my chakras. So yeah, definitely upgrades happening, and also releasing of shadow as well. So big time. But I'm so happy to be here and talk about these very interesting subjects, which I love to research and dive deep into. So it'll be exciting tonight.
Hi, y'all. I'm back in the South. So I'm at the Wyndham Resort in Edisto Island, back from Western North Carolina to here. And as soon as I hit these grids, it started to experience some kind of very bizarre cellular dehydration that really had me, screaming and wondering whether I was going to have to actually partake with the medical matrix, but I was able to override it. And today I had some acupuncture. I've been working on electrolytes and deep hydrations. So it's amazing when you can hydrate with proper minerals and herbs, how you can just turn this around, and cell salts. And like Indy was saying, take your ashwagandha, things for thyroid support. I mean, that's going to help the thyroid, kelp. I mean, this, remember to take your supplements. And I just started a new green juice today, which had in its celery, cucumbers, green apples, parsley, cilantro, ginger, and lemons with the rind. It's delicious and very easy to digest compared to carrots and beets. And so I feel great now. I was able to work out, get this acupuncture, go to Planet Fitness, be on the hydro massage bed. I'm ready to go.
Well, hey, at least you're kicking it into gear and doing all the self-care stuff, the self-love stuff. I mean, we got to do that because the energies have been hard. I think we've been being thrown so many things when it comes to everything we're combating. I did a live yesterday and I was talking about, health-wise. I think I kind of laid it out. I think there's four major things that we're dealing with. One is microwave radiation. It's like at the top of the list, like dealing with all the toxic radicals, the free radicals, the harmful radicals. Um, the next thing was uh, dealing with the war timelines. So all the death portals that are open on the planet and energy shifting to and from locations and withdrawing energy out of us essentially and taking energy to places that needs life force energy. Um, So that's a major thing that's happening, depleting us. And then also solar flares. Solar
And I've
flares, yeah, that. And then also,
bacterial was exposed to that mixed with snow in Western North Carolina. One day it was in the 70s. The next day the temperature dropped to go to the top of the mountain in Cherokee, and there was all this bacterial fog in this mixed in the snow. And I think that's what started to make me feel dehydrated.
yeah, I don't doubt that. I think, yeah, you were saying that bacterial fog. But I think that ties into then, the other main thing, which is like
Weather
hurricanes, tornadoes,
modification.
weather modification. Yep. So it's like those four main things. That kind of like caps it, that like boxes it in terms of our health and what we have to combat. I think it's good. We can break it down and see that though, because it's like, well, once you know like what you're really dealing with on a planetary level, we can start to zero in on how we can, navigate that in terms of our diet and, how we detox, how we go about bringing in specific supplements to combat these particular things. I was talking a lot on my live, I think we should be upping our antioxidants, like as the number one, because that's the one thing that's going to combat all the free radicals and all of the damage to our molecules, our cells, our atoms from all of the microwave radiation. I mean, down here in SS2, I mean, I know you guys have seen those Dopplers. I think you guys have sent me some of those videos of just us getting like radiated all night long for 15 hours straight. So I'm like, okay, that's why I wake up 5 times a night and have, some restless body stuff going on. So yeah, it's a doozy down here. But it's everywhere really. Those cell towers aren't just what we think they are. Some of them are, I think, disguised as higher powered 6G to 8G weapon systems that are on a whole other level. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Like the one in what is it? Antarctica. It's like a neutrino shooting weapon. I can't remember what it's called. Have you guys heard of that one? I think it's Antarctica.
Yeah, I have heard of that.
Yeah.
I think I heard
Yeah.
Stephen Greer talking about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, he called it like a neutrino, and it's some sort of like much larger directed energy weapon. It's like a laser beam.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm. No bueno. These negative alien ETs want to experiment with all this tech here on this planet, kind of similarly to what they've found in the pyramids. So let's talk about that. Um, and I think we had Sacred Brother here drop it down in the chat. Or Flicks Love said 2 cubes, 8 rods, 5 phalluses inside the pyramid, 285 hertz transformation. Miracles of love frequency machine if it works. Love frequency machine. I like that. Um, yeah, I mean that's pretty right. It looks like they're saying 8 large vertical structures theorized to be wells or shafts thought to extend over 6,500 feet across and 2,000 feet below the ground. And they've drawn up a bunch of 3D models. They've kind of put together all kinds of AI videos and things like this of people um, sharing this, all over social media. Um, a lot of people thinking it's a hoax. A lot of people, again, yeah, calling it fake news. But they can't really get past some of these infrared pictures that they've done. I think that's the most convincing thing is they've done the tomographic images that are showing, the internal results of this being there. And I think they probably can't get around those. I think they're pretty telling. Um, when you
Yeah,
guys tune into this, what are you getting?
well, I researched some of the information, but it's synthetic aperture radar Doppler technology. So it's satellite radar technology and it's showing energy intensity within the ground. So they're looking at like micro motions detected at the surface level. And they're like kind of measuring the subsurface harmonically resonating voids. This is all the science stuff that I got. The scientist who received this information is Filippo Bondi. And so he is using specific software and an algorithm to be able to take these pictures. And so the one thing about him is that he hasn't released the full transparency yet. So we don't really have comparative studies. And so we're waiting for that raw data to come forth. However, there is definitely something going on there. So, everybody's plastering all over the internet that it's these 8 cylinders. And then at the bottom, there are these gigantic, box like type structures. And those pillars are huge, like they're taller than the Empire State Building. And, some of the questions that are coming forth is like, where is all of the material that they use to create these quote unquote pillars? So we don't really we know for sure something is down there, but it might not be pillars. It could be something else. So they're like measuring this like kind of like negative space. And I mean, it makes sense that there's something down there. And then the other thing too that I came across is that the majority of the pillars are actually in water. So what is it that the water is doing? And there's something that has to do with the pyramid and its structure and this water that is like kind of running underneath it. And we know that most of the pyramids on the planet do have like these springs that are running underneath it, which is creating some type of piezoelectric effect. And like you said, Indy, like kind of like this portal type vortex energy. So it seems like, there's all these stories like the Emerald Tablet states that the halls of Amenti are somewhere in Egypt, somewhere there. And so it would be really interesting if that was the case, and if there were ancient records down there. Because we don't know exactly what is inside those pillar or the cylinders, if there is something there. Somebody said it could be a staircase like going down. Or somebody said like a well, wells maybe, but having wells the size of the Empire State Building is kind of crazy, but who knows, maybe they were trying to create some type of, there's some crazy technology that they're trying, harnessing the energy of the shape of the pyramid. And there's so many ideas, but I just think it solidifies our own intuitive hits that we've had for all these years, that we knew something is there. We've known that for so long. And now the science is starting to come out, which is pretty awesome.
It is very exciting.
What I find interesting about this whole thing is that day, Indy, that you posted that thing about those Egyptian pyramids, and a lot of people are talking about it, including that joke April Fool's thing, I think, Anna, you posted, which actually feels for real. It feels like we've been through a magnetic reversal. There was so much truth in what he said. I said, oh my God, everything's true, except it's not, because if it's a little bit off, it's not true. But it's like there was so much, like, I'm like, the way I've felt lately, I feel like I've come through something really big and I'm on the other side of that wave, like, oh my God. But when you posted that thing about the vault, I guess it was something about the vault of Orion. I'd actually been in meditation, and what's significant to me is that spiral that I think it was on the 25th that it was seen over Hungary. Remember that? It was to do with the Falcon 9, Elon Musk's thing. Did you guys see that? I put that in our group to look at that spiral from the Falcon. Well, there was also one December 9th of 2009 called the Norway spiral. And I know for a fact, for me, after that Norway spiral, that affected me to a degree that time started speeding up, and the rush towards December 21st, 2012 was even more magnetic. We could feel it. So I think between them find these pyramids and this stuff under the ground, which actually, when you talk about, we're on stilts here where I live some of the time. We have to be on stilts, and it also makes me think of the Maldives, which those houses are actually in the beautiful Maldives, and that's like Atlantis. This is all, Atlantis stuff again, just like Mar-a-Lago. When I was down there, I felt, oh my God, I'm in Atlantis. But the day that you posted that, Indy, about the vault of Orion, I was actually hearing the word vault, and I was seeing even under Charleston area, and this whole area, like this whole vampiric thing, and these beings, these people that are alive from the 1500s that connects into Christopher Columbus and Queen Isabella, and this whole timeline, and even before that, before the Taino Indians in Puerto Rico and the Edisto Indians here, and these beings that go back, and how this was even connecting, into the work that we did in the UK and the rising of Arthur. It was just like, wow. So there's this vault, is it underneath the whole seafloor? Like, how far does this go? Because, the Bimini Road, we've seen photos from Google Earth of the Bimini Road when we watched I think it's called Ancient Apocalypse, Graham Hancock. He showed, a lot of things that happened about, what was it, 13,000 years ago or 12,500 years ago, and how the Earth changed at all these different sites, Göbekli Tepe, Malta, just so many places that has, artifacts there. And you could see the Bimini Road from from Google Earth. So to me, it's like feeling a deeper connection where everything's all connected and something is brewing underneath it all, is what I'm feeling. Like it's something's bubbling up to the surface, like, and hence all these volcanoes, like Reykjavik in Iceland is like, just blasting with volcanic activity now. And I think we're going to see more of it as
Yeah.
Pele, we start feeling her rage.
You're essentially saying that everything's so heightened on the planet right now that
Yes.
so much is coming, basically so much is coming to the surface, and that's why, I mean, there's so much light in the planet. I mean, what's hidden in the deepest depths and the deepest shadows is coming to the light. Flicks Love says, yes, the spiral is speeding up, more center needed. And Jim says, structured water that has not been brought forth. Okay. Uh,
And the fires in Western North Carolina now, 6 months ago, we had Hurricane Helene. Now it's a bunch of, it's burning everything down in Leicester, Saluda. I think some of but on the Blue Ridge Parkway, Frying Pan Tower, where Graveyard Fields of Shining Rock is. I mean, I could see before from the past how it was burned now. Well, it's burning again now. Hopefully they're containing it,
Well, I
praying
think
for
we have to
rain.
remember the pyramids were constructed for benevolent reasons, right? It was for the ascension purpose essentially, but then later on it was inverted, if you will, right, by the dark side, and they started doing like human sacrifice and inverting it, right? And so there's that dark element that came into that field, that energy field, if you will. So it was distracted from that ascension process. And so I feel what's happening now is it's almost like the light is coming back and bringing those energies back into the field to correct it. And so just to go back to what I'm sure you guys heard of Bias de Stefano, he gave a very good description of what the original pyramid was meant to be, right? So it was like when you go into the king's chamber and you lie down, you tune into your pineal gland. And what this does is it tunes you, or I guess when you tune into your pineal gland, your energy is tuning into the energy of the pyramid. And so there's a feedback from the pyramid as it connects to your own energy. And so when that aligns with the right or the correct frequency of your energy, then you are beaming your energy to the rest of the universe. And so wherever your energy is connected into the rest of the universe, it comes back to you as a feedback. And so that's what it's meant to do, which is not happening right now, right? So there's all of these distortions in the field. And so I have a feeling it's connecting back to its original energies, if you will, or what it was meant to be. I mean, I know we can't get back to that original energy because the cap is missing, and there's a lot of other things that are missing. But I think that's essentially what's happening. It's trying to get back to some sort of corrected energy field.
Yeah, I think that's a really good way to say that. And you know, I think it would do these researchers good to not only do this on the Giza pyramids, but they should take it further and do this under every single pyramid, that's been discovered on the planet. I think they would find potentially that this technology exists within all of them, and that it's again, because one thing I've discovered or decoded in some of my remote viewing is that the pyramids it's an actual defense system on the planet. Like it was brought here by the Guardians or by the original um not gatekeepers, but the ancient builders, the original ancient builders, and that they brought this and laid a foundation of an intelligent system that works with free energy, um, working with Stargate energy clearly. Um, and I think another thing to consider is that everywhere that there is a pyramid, that these are actually Stargate, all of them are Stargate locations, and that they're actually building technology into free energy of Stargates. So, I mean, this might be bringing forth an entirely new free energy technology that's so ancient, but it's going to be so future that will maybe be something that can activate the real true powers of the planet and even beyond that. Um, I brought this picture up because I thought this was kind of significant. It shows how the Egyptian pyramid of Giza is located really at the center of the earth. I mean, considered the geographical center. And I think this is arguable. Again, like uh, the Draco Overlord systems would probably argue that there's a couple different places that they think are the center, but I think this is pretty close to it.
No, I think you're right, Indy. According to David Wilcock, that's what I've got as well. He's identified it as the north and south, east and west axis, and it's like it balances out the mass of the Earth, and so that's the central point.
So that's significant, right? I mean,
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
that's so significant. Um, and it's so interesting that Ani brought up the water too, because um, well, if you think about, I mean, if you look at mainstream, they're saying, oh, the pyramids, they're only 4,500 years old. But I mean, we know that this technology goes, all the way back to definitely the floods, definitely the biblical floods. So what are these waters that are being contained down there? Are these waters from the floods? Is it water from the previous destruction of this gate site? Is it water that holds historical records? And is that water the sustenance to the halls of Amenti? That's holding the records basically in its memory body. I mean, that's something maybe to think about. But I think, honestly, I think these pyramids go back. If I had to just throw a number out, I would say 25,000 to 50,000 years because when I visited them, I remember being there and I was like, oh, there are, pyramids from Atlantis, and you could see all the watermarks on the Sphinx. You could see where it was
Right.
actually
Yeah.
underwater. And my friend who lived in Egypt, like, looked over to me and she's like, no, this is from Lemuria. And I was like, really? Like, that actually blew my mind at the time. That was, like 7 years ago. But that dawned on me, like, wow, okay, so if we're looking at Lemuria, we're looking 25, 50, 72,000 years, even
Well, if you look
200,000
at the
years.
ascension cycle, that's like 25,000 years, right? So they did this in preparation for the ascension cycle. So it would have been prior to the 25,000 years,
Well,
to the
there's three
previous
sets.
ascension cycle, right?
There's three of them. It's 25. It's like 75,000 years. So we're at the end of the larger
Of the
cycle
big
right
one,
now.
yeah. Yeah.
And
We ended.
we know that face is not the original face. And how many faces on the Sphinx has there been? We know that has to do with this sign of Aries. So we don't know how many faces before that.
Well, it was Leo before that, wasn't it? So that would match because the body is in the shape of a lion.
Yeah.
So the head would match that, right?
Yeah.
And that would take us to the 2000-year mark, right? Which was
Mhm.
around the time that Yeshua was in incarnation.
Wow, that's deep. I feel like that really hits deep. Ah, man, that is going through me. That is like,
Well, there is a snippet about him going to Egypt to actually practice with John the Baptist. And I tuned into him and I asked him, is that true? And he said yes. So he went there to actually practice and to tune his energy to those ascension energies, if you will. So he and John the Baptist went there to Egypt during that time to visit the pyramids. So that
It's
much
like
is true, at least
ascension.
from my perspective.
It's like the ascension technology, knowing how to ascend.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yep. Well, and I kind of get too that, and I've said this before, that the ascended master path work is that of a grid worker because it's like you have to go to these locations to get your ascension codes at a much higher galactic level, of a higher planetary level, because these energy centers don't contain the energy or the power, like they do anywhere else in the world. So you're going somewhere that has significant access to significant, specific organic celestial technology, and you're just getting quantified. And the more activations you get by going to the stargates, I actually have a little thing that I wrote out. I think this might be important for people to know what a Stargate is because I mean, that's why how significant it is that this is found here, that they're building technology into Stargates. I mean, how smart, how advanced
Yeah.
does intelligence have to be to know to build technology into a Stargate? It is considered a vortex or a universal time portal that connects to many other dimensions within the planetary and universal matrices. Stargates hold crystallized holographic seed codes to particular star systems that function according to the most dominant radial expression governs that Stargate, which we know Giza is Orion. And I think one of the things that's coming up with this is that this is some sort of Orion quarantine technology. That's what they said on one of the videos that I can actually play for everyone if we want to watch it. Stargates transmit the expression of the celestial bodies from the race morphogenetic field of the Earth's magnetic field and the inner Earth's universal tree of life geometry and runs those cosmologies into the ley lines and the landmass. And the Stargates can also function in reversals, which it's very speculative with this one. Like, is this reversal technology to some degree? You know, and I think this is something we should discuss is because you look at where it's located, you look at how it's in the Great Rift of Africa, you look at how it's rooted next to our deepest separation wounds, collectively, Holy War wise. It's right next to Stargate 10, where all the Stargate 10 types are, and where the Draco hives are, and all the Nibirian underground bases and stuff like this. It's located by the Kaaba.
Well,
Actually, I
it
have a
also
picture
leads
of
straight to
this.
Jerusalem. One of the ley lines leads straight to Jerusalem. So you've got that whole connection there too, right? With all the focus now on that area.
Yeah. I mean, here's Cairo. Here's Jerusalem, like you're just saying. Here is the um, tip of the Archangel Michael ley line. Where's that going? It's going into Mount Carmel. And then we have the whole Syrian five pentagons Starseed system, Stargate system. Venusian, I think this is a Venus temple area. Um, we have Göbekli Tepe at the top. Goes over through Baghdad, which we know all of this. I mean, I think the Tower of Babel is located over here somewhere. And this runs down to basically the Draco Anunnaki Stargate 10, but also goes through, you know, ancient Mesopotamia, ancient Sumer, ancient Uruk, and then all the way down to Mecca down here. So, I mean, if we know that two of these gate systems are running in reversals, you know, what do we think Giza is ultimately doing, especially if we're hearing the things that this is some type of Orion quarantine technology? I mean, we've talked about this before. I think on my New Earth update, we talked about how this Earth was basically under a quarantine and was going to be under a quarantine, at least in certain Earth dimensions, until the Earth can be liberated from the dark energy, from the polarized war energy, and those negative energies aren't going to interfere with higher dimensional Earth's progression. And that's really what the 40 astral wars were about, higher and lower, was to keep those energies, entities, archons, draconians sealed basically in this realm. So I don't know, what do you guys think?
Well, it's also directly connected to the other pyramids, right? The ones in Bimini, like I think Missy just mentioned, and the one in the Yucatan, right? So they're all connected somehow. And so if you take all of that into consideration, there's all of this energy that's, you know, tripled or quadrupled if you take into consideration all of the other pyramids, right? So yeah, there's definitely something going on. So they have to keep updating these reversals, if you will. But now when you look at it, Indy, and if you think about it from what we have been experiencing with the Draco being shooed off the planet, if you will, so who's managing those systems now? Like, are their minions really strong enough to manage those high energy systems, right? And those inversion systems? So I have a feeling it's collapsing. That's why all of this is coming to light, right?
I personally feel that I have a feeling that the pyramid is not even activated. Why are those cylinder type things underwater? You know, like we really need to think about like the structure and like kind of like what's going on. Like you said, there potentially could be like a reversal situation happening, but I just I don't feel like it's fully activated yet. And maybe like what you said, Raquel, is that these things are coming like online, like to our conscious awareness now because the earth is going to go through a shift. Like, how do we know that those what's underneath the pyramid doesn't create a massive earth shift so that we can move into like the next phase of humanity, you know?
Yeah.
Well, I
And
think the
so,
water is a stabilizing factor, don't you
yeah,
think so? It's like balancing out those energies, right?
definitely could balance because I was like, I'm just thinking of like electrical energy. Like, I just, and like, you know, what Indy was saying is that there is definitely some type of technology that is so far beyond human consciousness. It clearly is probably non-human, absolutely non-human, and you know, some type of guardian, ancient guardian builder race who is able to make these things. I mean, it's too exact, you know, and too precise and too, like you said, like directly in the like center of our earth. Like, how on earth, you know, could we have this technology? And it's super ancient, and I just, you know, there what, like, I don't know, it has been prophesized that we are going to remember like who we are. And like you said, Indy, that whole triangle right there um is basically like the beginning or the start of this last cycle that we've been through, like through the past like 12,000 years. Like, it kind of like everything came out of that whole area, that whole triangle that you had, that you were showing, like going into the Middle East and stuff. And so,
Yeah.
um, I mean, if that's underneath the pyramid, can you imagine like what's underground? I'm sure like vast systems that, you know, like this whole like underground, who knows what, like cities. And I mean, it's, and there's so much there that we're just not like fully seeing yet. And so, like, my question is why is this technology being, well, why is this being released now? And why are they allowing it to be released? You know, because you know that there's higher ups that are controlling what we're seeing. And so I feel like they've known all along. So why are they showing it to us now? That's like kind of like my question,
Right.
you
Yeah,
know?
that's a good question, like the timing of it all.
You
Uh,
know, when I went to Chichen Itza, to me, I actually felt like it was just a shell of something from the past. Yes, it had a resonance, but it didn't feel alive. It actually felt like when you pick up shells on the beach and there's no animal that's living in there. It's just a memory. That doesn't mean it's not going to become active again, but there was something missing, and I think it has something to do with, in that location, obviously the Aztecs taking it over and doing human sacrifice at that pyramid.
Yeah, I think you both are right. But I think for our ascension this time around, I don't think we essentially need the pyramid, so to speak, to get us there. We are each our own pyramids, if you will. We are own our each powers. So, you know, it has to do with our own heart center and the energy that we generate individually that's going to power us through this ascension process. That's my understanding. We don't necessarily need a place like Giza or any other pyramid to boost us or to give us that extra boost to get through this ascension cycle.
you know, you just had a thought come to me by saying that is, you know, what if these aren't even for us? You know, we see what's going on in the current events and the current timelines where it does feel like genuinely like there is a battle of two different species on the planet. I mean, it's just, I feel like it's become more blatantly clear to me more and more that it's, you know, those who value life and those who don't. And they're two different entirely genetics, you know, one's reptilian and one's indigo. And so
Mm.
I'm wondering, you know, are these even for the indigos? I mean, yes, do we get activated there, but is this them dominating? I mean, obviously, if you think about it in those terms, the indigo, or like you just said, Raquel, we are the pyramids, and we know
Mhm.
that because we have these higher ascension codes. So they're building pyramids in those gate sites. I feel like this might be some sort of showcasing of dominance. Um, flagellation, arrogance, right? To me, this is weaponry. This is hijacking technology. Um, because we look at the Orion system, we look at the Orion Wars, we look at how they destroyed their entire celestial civilization. That's basically a technocratic, tyrannical, um, polluted world, fallen, polluted world. You know, all of the detrimental draconian bloodlines are coming through the Orion Gate. And all of this ties back to like that Saturn moon matrix and all this stuff. I mean, w- this goes into terra reformation. I think this goes in what they're trying to do on Mars. Get to other planets and install these types of weapon devices into the major energetic centers of the planet to function and run the planet. I mean, this could be the most largest massive mind control psyop program ever to have existed on the planet, period. And these are the controlling devices.
Very true. Like, how do we know that, like you said, like how do we know that they're not like using this, like maybe like you said, they're markers for like returning to the site, and we know that the Orion group is not a positive one. We've known that for a very long time. And why is it that all of these sites are connected? Well, a lot of them, not all of them, are connected to the Orion system. So is it like a reminder for them for the return, or have they ever left? And it's true. Like, why would you have that type of technology underneath the pyramid? Why would you need those gigantic cylinders? Like, maybe it's for their spaceships.
Yeah, or some sort of planetary
Yeah.
detonation devices. Like why,
Yeah.
or something that's serving the inner Earth realms, inner Earth kingdoms. I know we've seen those maps where beyond the ice world, there's another world, and then there's an ice world, and then there's another world, and that's all on this planet that we don't have access to. So we talk about quarantine. I mean, yeah, this could be quarantining. This could be exactly what's quarantining us within the ice walls.
Well,
And they
Man,
here's
gave
another
us a
thought.
clue about
Maybe
quarantine. 2020
here's
quarantine.
yeah. Here's another thought. Maybe they're coming to take back what belongs to them. They might be saying, "Hey, this technology is ours. We're here to take it back." And knowing our government, they'll just shield everything from the public and say it's beyond the reach of the public, and basically hide it in some vault somewhere, or that's what they'll tell us. But in the back door, they might just return it to these beings. I don't know. I'm just throwing this out there, but that could be a possibility as well, right?
yeah. Well, one thing I could tell you is, I mean, I went there and I remember driving by. I think I was on a highway out here somewhere. Let me see if I can figure out the high. Yeah, I was like riding on this highway and I remember looking over and it was the first time I seen the Stargate vortice itself. It was coming out of the ground and it looked like it was coming like something in front of the pyramid. I mean, I couldn't see that well psychically, because I didn't have close enough access until later. And then when I saw later, I didn't see the vortice in the same way. So it was like as if I was hitting something or connecting with some sort of energy by how it was moving, then I picked up on it. But I seen this huge portal that looked like was just coming out of the ground. And at that moment, I was seeing that this is so organic. The energy is so living. It's such a high magnitude that it wasn't anything that they could necessarily hijack. So it's like they've built these systems here into the ground, into the earth, from up the inner earth, just trying to siphon off the energy that's just naturally flowing here. I think this is just a free-flowing organic portal of energy that's just sustaining human life. It's sustaining all the geometry. It's sustaining all the people. So
Were you able to see geometric shapes when you saw the portal?
yes, I was. Yes, I was. And
Okay.
actually, I
So
have
that matches
something.
what Matthias de Stefano says. about the portal, or I guess the Giza pyramid, because he said it's in the shape of an octahedron, and then if you connect to it, it expands into the other shapes, into the other geometric shapes, and it finally expands into, I think it was an icosahedron, which is the largest geometric shape, right?
Yes, let me show you what I got. So I'm gonna actually share another picture with you because this is something that I put together right after I got back from that trip. I made this diagram. This is exactly what I seen.
Oh,
Okay,
wow.
yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
And this was, yeah, that's exactly
So
it.
that's like the
Eight-sided
flower of,
structures.
or the
Yep.
tree of life, right?
It's a
Yep.
flower of life. And you know what, Indy, you know what's really weird when that matches? And so I just did a video on my website or my YouTube about the 8 points. So like a spoked wheel, and this has 8 points on it. And so what they just found with our universe from the James Webb Telescope is that the majority, 2/3 of the galaxies are spinning in a clockwise direction. And then 1/3 is spinning in a counterclockwise direction. And so now they are posing the theory and potentially proving the theory that we might actually be living in a black hole. And so this shape right here, it creates a toroid, a torus field. And so that would absolutely be like a if you think about it, if you're going through a black hole coming out the other side, that would be a white hole, is what they were saying, is that matter goes in and then goes out. So that would make total sense that this is a portal because of this, like this shape and structure that you're created and it's not only represents our universal structure, universal laws, but it also represents life itself. And so I wonder, we're looking at the pyramid here. We're thinking that the pyramid is the actual portal, but maybe you're actually right. We need to move further into where you actually saw it happening, the natural structure of it. And that is where the actual portal and Stargate is, further forward, So that's like really fascinating.
Isn't that where the Sphinx is?
Yeah, the Sphinx is right here.
Okay. So
This
it's
is in
between
front of
the
it.
two.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I think you're absolutely right, Ani. Yeah, that's exactly what I've been thinking and feeling as well, is like if the actual organic gate system is an energy vortice that's just flowing through the earth. It's a channel. It's a channel of light. It's just a higher magnitude channel of light. It's like the kundalini of our body, but the earth, and
On
it's
steroids.
yeah, just like what is this shit? What is this? This to me, this would be hijacking technology. It would be weaponry. I mean, I know that there's a lot of spiritual significance and these are charged in that spiritual energy because it's next to that. But I mean, these I mean, these could just be like little snow caps. Yeah, snow caps and just hide what's underneath it, because they're really stealing all of the energy from the planet.
Right? They're siphoning the energy, taking the organic life, because that's what that symbol represents to me. This is a universal symbol, universal laws, and it represents life. So it's a combination of multiple different things. But it's a very, very important symbol. And the ancients plastered, this 8-spoked kind of wheel symbol all over the place, all over megalithic sites. Like they knew. So it's like they were like, the positive ETs and then the negative entities, ETs coming forth. And there's like, they're coming from like different systems and stuff, like the one, Gobekli Tepe, like that matches up with Cygnus, I believe. And so, there's, and I don't know what the ones in South America line up with, but it's really interesting how you created, connected this over to, the Middle East. And there was that triangle. Everything that was in the shaded triangle is where all this like super negative, dark, like you said, reversal stuff is happening, and just like death, and like we're going backwards in that area, So I wonder if something's connected.
I just want to give a special shout out to Tom Stew. He did just give us a donation, so thank you so much, Tom. And then also Jim Montgomery as well. Thank you, Jim. We really appreciate everything you guys send in for us. It helps us so much. And Tom actually asked, he said, "Is the inverted Melchizedek 8 point?" Well, I mean, when I saw this geometry wasn't like bent like this. It was more flowing, but it was like geometry, free flowing geometry within geometry. It's just that this was how I was able to express it on the diagram, essentially. But I don't recall seeing like straight sided geometry or angulated geometry. Um, but what I did see was I'm wondering if there's some sort of mirroring technology that's going on around it that creates that black hole structure to leak out into human consciousness, into the land, into the geometry. Because what I did see was this eight-sided structure was basically all over Cairo. It was all over the city. It was all over, gosh, where I was staying. Um, the eight-sided geometry was like one of their main geometries that they worked with when in all of their architecture. I mean, you've seen it on like imprinted into cement, into the highways. It's like, why is that symbol there? Kind of like when you go to Washington, D.C., you see Orion symbols everywhere. You see the word Orion on everything. It's just weird. It's wicked weird. Like, what? But when you go to Egypt, you see this eight-sided symbol. So it's almost like some sort of national symbol or I think it's also connected to the Achelan military systems. But everything in the reality is built upon that eight-sided geometry. And it just goes to show you how, you know, everything it's either getting flipped, mirrored, and reversed from the organic intelligence itself of the Stargate, or it's running the organic codes. And maybe that's according to, yeah, the genetics. Like, is it reptilian genetics? They're seeing through the coin of the black cube. They're seeing through the coin of the inverted matrix, the inverted universal tree of life, the black hole system. All I know, Ani, is when you just said black hole system, that hit so hard. I mean, that that would honestly give the best explanation for everything that's occurring on the Earth, period, as to why everything's so flipped upside down and really anchored in a lot of this negativity and war and destruction and murderous acts and killing and just like things that are just so unconscious and unattuned to source. Things that are completely out of alignment with even just common sense. Like it's just, and that's how if Saturn's allowed to rule, Saturn is all about trauma and or comedy and tragedy. It's like it's comedy and tragedy. Like it's just but I mean beyond this, let me see here because I wrote a whole bunch of stuff out with this. I think I actually explained in the writing here. This was a book that I wrote and put together. If you're on my Patreon, I can send you a copy of this, patreon.com/IndigoAngel. But I think I wrote up, let's see, what did I put here? E- Oh, I wrote a lot. Okay. Oh yeah, okay, it was Heliopolis. Given the meaning of its history, the city of Heliopolis being the city of the sun. I wrote that it's imprinted in the surrounding landmass to the fourth Stargate site. Synthesizing and tuning into this octagonal geometric solar grid from the Stargate will accelerate the solar vision quest here into ultra diamond, white platinum, and ultra gold color frequency spectrum. Draws up the 48th DNA strand. And the symbol code imprinted here, solar octagonal code for pineal synthesis and induction. Yeah, I think I was putting together a visualization, but oh, this is where the eight breaks down. So when you're overlooking the pyramids in the perspective viewing point, you're looking into the king's chamber from a perspective looking down vertically on the pyramids, and then you can see that the pyramids have eight faces. The Great Pyramids themselves, all representing octagonal symbolism. So the architecture of the pyramids is also eight geometrical. Um, and holds the oldest halls of records are here, and the remnants, overlays, parallels in ancient Egypt being the oldest major city. Yeah, Heliopolis, which is the city right next to the pyramids. It's the oldest city in Egypt.
Indy, I just noticed something you said. This also aligns with the galactic center, which I was saying, which is guess what? The galactic center is the black hole, right? Um, and then you said something about Thoth. I don't know what it said, but that was kind of interesting. And so that was what I was going to bring up, is that going back to the Emerald Tablets, it was supposedly Thoth who said that the halls of Amenti are underneath the pyramid there. Maybe that maybe where you put the symbol is where the halls actually are, not directly underneath the pyramid, but here, because it has something to do with the galactic center, which is a black hole. And there's some type of black hole geometry going down from what I'm like getting, intuition.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and it makes sense they would put this here because the Sphinx is a feminine form. The Sphinx is actually like a feminine energy. And I think this ties into Andromeda, and I think this ties into why the Ark of the Covenant is coming forward, because we know how much the Ark of the Covenant ties into the Andromedan passageways, that it's all linked and connected. And it's just so significant. I think the largest feminine portal on the planet is the Sphinx. That what this we're looking at is a feminine portal, and it's the largest feminine portal. This connects into Andromeda. This connects back into, like you said, Emerald Tablets, all these things. But I think it's going back to when the Andromedans laid the original, like diamond crystal
Blueprint.
circular disc into the planet and installed all of the crystals on the planet. And, makes sense. Like, that's very high powered. I mean, that's quite a
Well,
passageway.
here's some notes that I got from David Wilcock as well. He's developed a timeline according to Giza, what was found in Giza. He's lined it up to events that took place on the Earth. So it lines up with the event of World War One, World War Two, 9/11, the economic collapse. And so this is like the next big event is 2025, this year. And so he thinks that's going to be like the first wave of the ascension. So the years just going back was 1911, which was the beginning of World War One, 1945, end of World War Two, 2001, 9/11, 2008 was the economic collapse. And so he foresees 2025 as being the next big event coming up.
Right. And then as you see this push towards like this instability that is happening around our planet, and like push towards like potential war, that really lines up. Like to me, it seems like we're going towards war.
Yeah.
And so, does the ascension mean that those that pass on in transition and death will be able to ascend? Is that what he means?
Well, he called it the first wave of ascension. So I'm guessing it's more like a disclosure event. So it could be, the revelation of, I guess, the first contact, if you will, with the other world. So ET contact, perhaps. Or, with all of this Trump and Musk situation, right? They're like going gung-ho and trying to expose a lot of things. So with that revelation, they might just bring forward the whole ET contact, because they've been, guarding that like secret information. But, when you think about all of the people that are disclosing the truth in all of these forums, right? On YouTube and all of these other channels, like there's a lot of truth already out there. Like, it's not secret anymore, but the government seems to think that they need to hide it from the public, right? But I have a feeling it's going to be ET contact as the next big thing. That would be a big, ascension wave, if you will, or a waking up of humanity to the multidimensional aspect of our being, really.
Yeah,
Because
100%.
we're closed off to that to a large extent, right? Nobody really believes in that multidimensional aspect of the human existence right now, right? And so when that comes online, then we sort of step into that whole ascension process, and we are meant to go on to that, take that journey, if you will, as a soul.
I just want to give a special shout out to Karen Hansen. Thank you, Karen. Or did I say the right? Karan? Caron Hansen. Thank you so much for the donation. We really appreciate it. Oh, Jim Montgomery says, in your and guest opinions, is it still active? Are you talking about the pyramid? We have. Do I think it's still active? I think yes, I do think that the organic Stargate is active, that it's living, that it's alive, that it's 100% still intact, and that honestly, by the way this conversation is going tonight, I mean my summary, my conclusion at this point is kind of, what I just said is I think that the pyramids themselves, that I think it's a weapon system that could be harvesting or hijacking off the organic gate system, and that it could also be tapping into a greater network of that on the planet, the controller network on some level. Because why wouldn't they build harmonious structures into the Stargate? You know what I mean?
I feel it's distorted, Indy. It was originally meant to be that, but over time it's gotten distorted.
Yeah.
But there's a possibility that if you're seeing those geometric patterns, if you will, there's some semblance of that still existing, but it might have moved, if you will.
Tom
You
Steve
know when
says
they just
Toth.
when they distorted it is when they made it into a tomb. That's what I think. Because it
Well, and
wasn't
there's
meant to
all
be
of
a
that
tomb.
human sacrifice too, right? That took place,
Right,
and that doesn't
exactly.
necessarily align with the ascension in any way.
Not at all.
Well, especially if the tomb at the bottom of it is Osiris's tomb. I mean, was he what was he the god of?
Hmm.
Can't
It
remember.
was
Drop it down in the comments if you knew what Osiris is, what he did. For some reason, I feel like he was.
Isn't he
I
the one that was dismembered and
was gonna
Yeah, he was
um,
say
dismembered.
He was
I
the
ISIS
wasn't going to
god.
bring that up.
ISIS brought him back together,
He
right?
was the
That
god of
part.
fertility, agriculture, afterlife, the dead, resurrection, life, vegetation, and
okay.
It
ancient.
was that certain male member that ISIS had to get to revive him that the obelisk is based on, his penis. I guess I'll just say it.
Right, the phalanx. And that's what they were saying too, is that the tip of the pyramid was actually the tip of a much larger phalanx.
Yep, that's
Yeah.
right.
That's what I thought. I thought he was the god of the dead as well. Renee says death, Tom Stu says the
Yeah.
afterlife. Yeah. I really feel like Osiris was the god of death more so than
Mhm.
anything. So that would very be interesting if that's his tomb there at the bottom of that chamber.
If it is, then what are we going to be reawakening once we discover more?
That almost gives me chills.
Yeah.
Like God chills right there. Going all, all the way down the body. Like, whoa. I mean, because it is very significant that we have these findings plus the Ark of the Covenant coming forward all at the same time. Activate, activate, activate. That's mind blowing. Let's talk about that a little bit. So we actually found the CIA files, and we were kind of going over these a little bit. Maybe Ani, do you feel called to explain this one
Sure.
a little bit?
Sure. So you can see that it was approved for release in 8/8/2000, which is kind of interesting. So why is it that we just, I don't know, why is it the files just came out? Where were they and who was hiding them? I don't know who released the files. So what it was is that they viewer identifier means that this was a 30-second remote viewer that was trying to identify a specific location coordinate on the planet. And they didn't give us the exact coordinate, but it's this number here, which they're hiding. And so it's somewhere in the Middle East, possibly, and or in Africa, like we were kind of talking about. And so what this person did is there is a person who was remote viewing, and then there is a person who was taking the notes based upon what the remote viewer saw. And so if you just scroll down a little bit, they give an overview of they do a typed overview of a session summary of what exactly the remote viewer saw. So this is the type summary. But below is the notes that the person took while the remote viewer was speaking aloud. And so what they saw was that they saw basically the target was fashioned of wood and gold and silver. And it was similar to the shape of a coffin. So this is very similar to the Ark of the Covenant. And it was decorated with seraphim, which is basically the Ark of the Covenant, right? And so the remote viewer also felt that it was somewhere in the Middle East. The language that was spoken was not exactly known, but it was somewhat like Arabic. And they also described a mosque and a dome. And so they said that the individuals were there that were taking care of it, but you had to be chosen to take care of it. And there was other things down there that they saw too, but this specific object like held massive spirituality information and lessons of historical knowledge that has been hidden from us. And they also said that only a person, an individual who is basically worthy or is allowed to, has like maybe that specific genetic code and or soul structure, whatever it is allowed to open it. And those who do not, if you force it open, that they would die, basically. I'm just kind of giving you an overview. Anybody can Google this and find it. But if you scroll down a little bit more, you can see what the person was doing. So this is the person who was taking the notes while the remote viewer was speaking aloud, and they were writing down everything that the person was saying. So it's in these like words, right? Describing, rough, cool, cold, high, low, what else? Hard, royal, there's all these words that came up that the person was sensing and seeing, and it's, showing, kind of different structures that the person was seeing. And if you scroll down further, you'll see the dome that the person drew somewhere around there. Yeah, right there. So I looked up, I got some ideas about what the dome might potentially be. But one of them was the Ethiopian Orthodox Tewahedo Church. And they actually say that they possess the Ark of the Covenant. And it's kept under guard right now. However, it's massive taboo. But what's kind of interesting is that if you look at what this mosque looks like, the picture, compared to the Ethiopian Orthodox Tewahedo Church, it looks very similar. And then I text Indy some other ones. Do you remember the other ones I text you? There was a couple other ones which I don't remember. One of them.
Let me look.
Yeah, to go back. Okay, so one of them was the Dome of the Rock, and then the Great Mosque of Qom. Which is also potentially. So if this is the case, there's also been a channel that has happened with, the Law of One. And so the Ra actually said that they asked where the Ark of the Covenant was in the channel when channeling Ra. And he said, or they said, that it is still on this planet, but they can't say where it is because it would infringe upon our people locating it in the future. So, yeah. So it's clearly here.
So I have some input on this. There's a there's a show on Gaia TV called Cosmic Disclosure, and this has actually come out a while back, like that particular document that you were talking about. Like it came out and it was disclosed by these retired DoD agents and CIA agents, and they talked about this exact same thing. So I don't think it's all that new. Maybe they just brought it out into the public forum at this point. So it has been disclosed on Gaia TV. I'm guessing it's 2 years old now. I'm not quite sure on the date of that video, but it does date back a few years.
Right, because on
But
the document it said that it would be released in 2000.
88, yeah,
Yeah.
88, right? No, but this show on Gaia TV came out a few years ago. So there were a few years between the original disclosure and this disclosure on
Yeah.
Gaia TV. But what you said, Ani, it also lines up with the temple. Like Graham Hancock in his book, he's also talked about this temple in Ethiopia, and he clearly describes the temple. He's actually been there and he's met these people that guard the temple. Like he couldn't get access to it, but he said that they were very, how should I say this? Like their physical body was damaged in a way from just guarding the temple. They developed cataracts from being too close to that energy. And he said they don't last for more than 10 or 15 years once they've taken on this job of guarding the Ark of the Covenant because of the energy that it generates. So they have to keep, switching these people out of that role, if you will. So at any given time, I think there are about 4 people that are there, but it's like, they take on the role knowing that they're going to go blind or, die after 10 or 15 years because it's
Right, it sounds
radioactive,
like radiation.
apparently. Yeah, it is
Yeah.
radioactive. So
Radiation
I thought
poisoning.
that was interesting. But yeah, there's also another interesting aspect to this, which is the Iraq War and the whole Saddam Hussein thing that went on, right? There was also some rumor that they were actually going to get the Ark of the Covenant from his residence, which they felt was the reason for the Gulf War when George Bush was in the presidential role. So I don't know how you guys feel about that.
I agree. I just, they've said that there's more than one arc of the covenant. And so to me, it sounds like it's some form of technology. Like you said, there's, people who are exposed to it, have radiation poisoning. I mean, arc itself, if you think of what an electrical arc is, an electrical arc is a discharge of an electric current across a gap in a circuit. So it would make sense. I mean, like we already have a clue of what it actually is in there. And I bet there's more than one. And you're absolutely right with the whole Iraq thing. I came across that as well. And
because
believe.
those CIA agents, when they were talking about it on Gaia TV, they directly related it to the invasion of Iraq and how that guy was guiding them to get to that place. And so they were going like, as per this person's direction, who was remote viewing that area. And so they described it according to what those notes were, according to what that person was seeing, the Arabic and the people dressed in white, and the dome which they showed was very close to a temple. His residence was very close to a temple or a mosque. And so I thought that was interesting because there was so much similarity to what took place, right?
I
Right.
also
And what
think
year
it's
was
really.
Iraq?
Oh yeah, go ahead, Ani.
I was just wondering what year what the Iraq war was.
I don't know.
I'll have to look it up.
Yeah, drop it down in the comments, guys, if you, you happen to know.
Sorry, I don't have that date, but
Uh,
I would say it was the late 80s, early 90s, right? I don't know. I'll have to look it up.
Well, that would be interesting because there was also a war in Iran. Like that's when like the revolution started over there in the Middle East too, where basically the regimes took over. Or like this harsher, more Sharia law like type kind of came in and like took everybody's freedoms away. So that would be
1991.
interesting. The timing of all of that.
So 1991, I think, was the first one, and then the second one was 2003. The Iraq War was 2003.
What I find kind of interesting about all of this is, well, everything that I've studied, anyways, in terms of where the Ark of the Covenant was, it aligns to what, Ani is basically saying with this, and it also aligns to what the remote viewer essentially brought forward, that all of this kind of goes back to the King of Solomon and the Queen of Sheba. I think the story or the tale goes that it was their son that was actually the one that was chosen to go to Ethiopia or for it to stay with King of Solomon's son in Ethiopia. So, I mean, it makes sense things keep coming back to Ethiopia. I'm wondering, though, how this Ark of the Covenant has gotten twisted. It's intertwisted within the faiths of these religions. And I think what needs to come forward is the truth. Because I don't know if these timelines are making sense anymore to me that much, because the Ark of the Covenant was supposed to be a symbol that actually was important to the Jewish faith and the Jewish history.
Okay, here's another timeline for you. This is according to Graham Hancock. So the Temple of Solomon in Jerusalem, believed to have been sacked during the Babylonian invasion, 587 BC. It was sacked and then removed from Jerusalem, and then in 650 BC, Egypt was going under some sort of an upheaval. And so it was moved to the island of Elephantine in Upper Egypt, in the town of Aswan. And then in 400 BC, the temple was destroyed due to an Egyptian and Jew conflict. And then it was moved to Lake Tana in Ethiopia. And then the ark was then moved 6 hours north to Axum, which is where we thought it is located now in the church that we just talked about. And that was 4th century Ethiopia.
Mm.
And that's where they still believe it is. So
I feel like this arc has something to do with the Israel and Hamas war. It almost, does it not seem like by the way you're saying that it keeps getting moved? And then
Because
it's,
it's power. If we had access to it's some type of like technology and power that can power something. So it's like, how do we know it's not some type of nuclear energy power source? And if it used properly, you know, I mean, if like what Moses says, I mean, were they able to, was it the ark that like parted the seas, or am I like tripping out off that? Maybe I'm not
I
getting
don't
it.
know. We'd have to research that a little bit.
Yeah. I feel like
Yeah.
I
Because
don't
I
know
mean,
for sure.
would they have been carrying the ark with them when they were going through the Red Sea? I thought it was just Moses and his staff and all the
I,
people. I mean, how would they get the ark with them?
I don't know. I feel like if used properly, like, and it's really fascinating that Trump has it in Mar-a-Lago because it's a symbol of power. It's spiritual symbol as well, but also power could represent energy, like literal like energy, that's been suppressed for all these years, thousands of years. Because if the ark has been suppressed for these thousands of years, I mean, thousands of years ago, we could have had, this kind of like infinite energy on our planet, and civilization would have been in a significantly different place right now.
well,
So,
during the last mission, we discovered there was a replica also in Manitoba, in the legislative building, on the top of the building, on one side of the building. There's also another replica there. Mind you, I don't know if it's made of gold, but it certainly looked like that. Some sort of uh, form of gold, I suppose.
When I went to Palm Beach, I felt that even before I knew. I said, "Oh my God, I feel Stargate 2's been moved to Mar-a-Lago." And just for your information, there's 3 nuclear power plants that I know of in Florida. I know there's one, I think it's in the Tampa area, Turkey Point, which is in the Miami area, and then one where my husband's mother used to live, which is in Port St. Lucie. So that's like a triangulation of that nuclear energy.
I think we have, let's look at some of the comments. Fixed Love says, so it could be the nuclear core of the pyramid, nuclear plant construct, the ark. And we've always had that kind of energy. So, yeah, correlation from, again, the findings in the pyramid to the ark. And are they both nuclear energy related? Jim Montgomery says Hammurabi. Maybe look in these particular scriptures. Um, what is the Hammurabi?
Wasn't that the Dead Sea Scrolls or?
It sounds so familiar, like I've literally picked this book up before.
The
Yeah,
Hammurabi, the Nagamati.
Okay.
the Nagamati. Okay.
Oh, Nagamati. Yeah, that's the some of those other books about like where Mary Magdalene. I know Raquel knows much more about this than I do about the Nagamati scriptures.
It's been a few years. I'll have to read it again, but yeah, it's one of those lost books from that time.
The lost, the book of Judas and the Gospel of Thomas and things like that. The Gospel of Mary Magdalene. It's some of the alternative teachings of Yeshua, where that are more controversial because it says that, of course, Yeshua was married, and to be a rabbi, you actually have to be married. But
Yeah, that holds more true than what we're being fed today. Yeah, absolutely.
So the Code of Hammurabi was one of the earliest and most complete written legal codes and was proclaimed by the Babylonian king Hammurabi, who reigned from 1792 to whatever.
Yeah, okay.
It's this black stone. Like if you look it up, it looks really trippy. It's this black stone and there's a carving in it. Look it up.
Wow.
Yeah. That's interesting.
To the black cube, you think? Or
I was
something?
gonna say
You
that's
said
sounding a little bit like the Mecca, like Mecca.
Yep.
That's like that's the Dark Mother version of the Mecca stone.
So Annie, you brought up Moses, right? So according to Graham Hancock, he thinks Moses was on some sort of DMT trip when he saw the burning bush.
Of course he was.
Yeah. It could have been natural though, because we actually can produce DMT within ourselves, so we can
Well,
get.
yeah, and he said those plant medicines were easily available to these beings at that time, right? And so, who knows? Yeah, you never know. It's possible.
Okay, well, I came across a video yesterday, which I thought I believe I sent this. I'm not sure if I dropped it in the group chat, but this is really interesting. I think it ties in. Obviously, the ark, though, significantly has something to do with the history of the Jews. I think Jim just made an interesting point here. He said that they didn't exist at the same time. My computer's getting slow. I'm running out of juice here. Here we go. Okay. I don't know if I had a breakup or a lag there that just happened, but something just jumped. But he basically said that Hebrew and Jewish didn't exist at the same time. So there's something with the ark and its history, and I think this history being warred over, that the truth needs to come forward. But what I find so interesting is this video, if I can find it, is the one that I had of what they're saying about President Trump right now. So I'm going to play this video and everyone watch this and then let me know what you think and we'll talk about this and we'll tie this into the arc after we watch it. And just put a 5x5. Let me know you guys can hear it.
Donald Trump converted to Judaism 2 years ago, according to White House official. There it is. That's his blog. He said, President Donald Trump converted to Judaism 2 years ago and joined Chabad Lubavitch Synagogue in New York City, according to a high-level White House official. Mr. Goldberg says the story has allegedly been held by CNN's editors for months, but is due to be released within the next few days. David Elias Goldberg, a fellow at the Jewish Center of Anti-Semitic Study, has also interviewed the White House source. According to the source, Trump was pushed by his daughter Ivanka and son-in-law Jared Kushner to join the faith. At first, Trump resisted, stating it would threaten his base of evangelical Christian voters. However, he had a change of heart and officially converted in early 2017. The ceremony was held in private and closely guarded for nearly 2 years. It appears the White House is prepared to slowly release this information, and by summer, it is expected Trump will fully address his new faith in an evening televised news conference. He is clearly the most pro-Israel president in the history of America. He's given Israel every single thing that they've wanted, and he's about to give them war with Iran.
Okay.
And so has he converted? So I want to show you one more article. This is, let me see if I can.
This is the Times of Israel.
Yeah, the Times of Israel. This was published March 22nd, 2019. This is the Times of Israel. Trump, the first Jewish president of the United States.
Now, that's not us saying that. That's Times of Israel. Times of what nation? Israel.
So the people in Israel, that's an English-speaking newspaper in Israel, and that's what they read, that Donald Trump is the first Jewish president of the United States.
And how did they qualify that, Rick?
They gave a list of things that he did for Israel.
First of one, of course, moving the embassy to Jerusalem.
That's right.
That was a big deal.
Then recognizing Israeli sovereignty over the Golan Heights.
Okay. So it's like, that's mind blowing, is it not? I mean,
So we have a president converting to Judaism, and we have a
a
king
king converting to
being
Islam.
Muslim.
What is going on? Mind blown, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's just that whole Ishmael, Jacob, Esau, even like Cain and Abel. It's like that final battle of the original seed split is what I'm seeing with that. If that's really true, or between Islam and Judaism, oh my God, that ancient war.
Yep.
It's
That
officially
makes sense.
at our front doorstep. Yes.
Oh my God.
Yeah. God, did you say my God or Gog and Magog?
Gog and Magog.
What that is that we have to clear.
It just makes so much sense. We've been following these cookie crumbles, I feel like. I mean, obviously, Trump has taken a pretty big stance to support Israel. That was surprising to me. I didn't know things were going to actually turn and shift that way. I thought it was going to be similarly to how he was going to handle things with Russia and, I mean, Ukraine, like where he was going to go and, he's supporting Putin versus Zelensky. I thought it would be like similar thing, like he comes in and maybe he's supporting like a side we wouldn't have expected. It just, I think it's all synchronistically aligning up when you look at what's presenting itself. The Ark of the Covenant, this being a very significant Jewish symbolism. He owns a replica of this in his house. He literally pulled out the chair for Bibi Netanyahu and gave him like, I mean, I've never seen him treat another guy so royally. Like literally treated him like, I deeply respect you and see you as a great leader. I'm gonna really take care of you here. So, I mean, it just would make sense, like if that actually happened. They say this information isn't even supposed to come out until this summer. So we're tapping into something here.
Have you seen
Yeah,
the video?
it's
The whaling
disturbing.
pictures, like he's at the whaling wall doing what they do at the whaling wall, and I think he even had a yarmulke on. I don't know for sure. I can't remember, but I remember he was at the whaling wall. If if he was actually wearing a yarmulke, drop it in the comments because I don't want to say that if it's not true. But look that up.
Yarmulke is the actual little hat thing?
Yes.
Yeah.
No, he was wearing one. He was definitely wearing one in the video.
Okay.
Yeah, guys, let's see what.
He's done that before, though, hasn't he? Like visited the wall and done those prayers and things like that, or the rituals.
I think that was a while ago, right? When he did that
Yeah,
video.
yeah, I think that was his last session in office, I suppose. His last term.
But I mean,
But I didn't know.
sometimes people can practice a faith and not convert to the faith. Like they can go and kind of honor the things that they're doing and not actually, because he
Yeah,
did
it's
just
like
resurrect that
posturing,
big,
right?
he did just resurrect that big crucifix in the Oval Office. That's a very Christian symbol.
Yeah,
So,
I think
But
from,
wearing a
from his
yarmulke.
perspective, he has to practice diplomacy, right? And like appease every sort of religion, if you will, right? So I don't know. We'll have to wait and see how that pans out.
You would be what's called a messianic Jew, a Jew that believes in Christ. He's on Judaism the old way.
your internet's cutting out really bad, Missy.
Oh, let me just here, if I'm better here. Yeah, I've been not getting the best signal tonight or whatever. Earlier, 5G, that doesn't mean anything.
Renee Salvatore says the Code of Hammurabi includes many harsh punishments, some demanding the removal of the guilty party's tongue, hands, breast, eye, and ear. Well, that sounds like some other evil holy books I know of. But the code is also one of the earliest examples of an AC, of an arc, of its. Yeah, she'll just have to clarify what AC is. Dan Geotech says 50% right spiritually Shekinah, 50% is physically the arc, which exists still. Noisha Plastic says Renee, okay, they're having a conversation. If you had your DNA and Vecca codes activated, you could hold the rod and staff without the radiation. Well, yeah, to me, this is very spicy. It's very interesting. I think it would I mean, what would you guys think if Trump actually came out and said he converted to Judaism? I mean,
Oh
well,
man. The United States, there'll be some serious stuff.
yeah. I
Crazy
wouldn't be surprised if
uproar.
they came after him for like treason or something, for not, letting people know that during campaigning and, because what if people voted for him if they knew that, and it would cause a big old uprising. Considering like 85% of the planet is anti-Semitic right now. Like it's I mean like deeply. Or at least that's what I'm seeing. Like there's a huge hateful push and campaign against people say it's Zionism, but it's really, oriented towards Jewish. And then I get so confused because some people are like, well, Jewish and Zionism is the same thing. And some people are like, Jewish and Zionism is not the same thing. And then it's like that's very muddied water as well. I don't think people can tell the difference. Just
Are
as
you
the
even?
same people can't tell the difference between radical Islam and peaceful Islam,
I'm
you know?
wondering when he wears a yarmulke. I don't even know if you're supposed to wear a yarmulke if you're not Jewish. I mean, you can be at the Wailing Wall doing things, right? Respecting the religion, but the thing is if he was wearing a yarmulke, was he Jewish then? I mean, I wonder.
Well, the guy said Jared Kushner was Jewish, and I think his daughter Ivanka is
She
actually
is.
Jewish. So that would I mean, it would make sense if you joined the fam on that. And, maybe they do feel a call to it anyways. I mean, it is, I guess, the oldest faith. The Hebrew is the Hebrews never put out any sort of biblical scripture. Is that correct? Because the Torah, what came from the teachings of Moses, was put together by the five books of Moses.
That's right. Yeah, and but you know what I
But
think
this
this
came
has.
after the Hebrews, right?
Yeah, it has more to do with the temple dome than anything. Is what I'm getting. You know,
Yeah.
Well, if
it's
he knows what's good for him, he won't come out and declare himself a Jew right now. He'll definitely lose his popularity in the US at least. Because yeah, you talk about all of the Bible Belt and all of that, the Middle America, they'll just turn on him.
Oh, totally. Especially because, I mean, our Constitution was founded in Christianity.
Yeah.
It'll be a big old Big old
But
hiccup.
it's a messianic Jew, though. A Jew for Christ instead of like a Jew that denies Christ. There is messianic Judaism. That's kind of what he is. And the thing, if that's what he is, I don't know. I'm just saying, I'm proposing that he could be. And what is under the temple dome? And what do they want that's there? I mean, I think even Nebuchadnezzar said there was, and didn't they say that Saddam Hussein was the reincarnation of Nebuchadnezzar, and all that stuff over there in that part of the world is there's something there that they want, you know,
It's
that
already taken.
Stargate when it.
But
Well,
you're right.
you
You're
gotta
right.
ask
You're right,
why
Missy.
there's such a push to culturally erase the Jews. I mean, it
Right,
does seem
that's
like
true. Yeah.
there's a deep
In their
force for that.
DNA.
It's
I
kind
think
of like they're trying to pull out Tartaria on everyone. I mean, if you eradicate the Jews, I mean, you're basically collapsing down a civilization and all their architecture and everything that belonged to them and renaming it and act like that it never existed, just like in Tartaria.
They're
And
only
that
getting their
happens. And
land
that happens.
since 1942. Was it 1942 that, I don't know if it's in the 40s, but if somebody can look this up. I think it's 1942 that Israel became a nation. That hasn't been that long. They've been displaced and haven't had their land for a long time.
I'm looking it up.
And there is the hiccup right there because that's the whole
1948. It was
point
after
of the
World War II.
war. That's the whole point of the
Yeah.
war was that Israel's land that they got displaced and got to come back to, or was it always ever Palestine? And
Right.
there's literally two realities running side by side, two tier realities that say this is right and one says this is right.
And they were the brothers. It could be the whole Enkian and Lil. It's Adam and Adam and what's the other? Now I can't remember his name, but Jacob and Esau. Adam and Eve and their son. Yeah, what
Cain and Abel.
Cain and Abel, that's right. Cain and Abel, Jacob and Esau, Isaac and Ishmael. It's that seed war, where the brothers don't get along. Over and over, we're seeing.
Are you looking that one up, Ani?
One, the Cain and Abel.
I thought you were looking something up.
Oh, I was looking up when it became a state, Israel, in May 14, 1948. So it was after World War II. Yes, and the United States was directly involved with that. So there's a direct link.
I'm gonna direct my attention towards the British. The British are the ones who seem to have a hand in everything, telling everybody where to go, what to do, when they can leave their land, when they can come back to the land, whose land it is, who they wrote, all of their documents for to say this is your land, not your land, make this contract, that contract. Why don't y'all clarify the situation? Because everyone seems to think that they're entitled to this and that because the British told them. So what is it? And it is this guilt that we see coming over and leaking in and through as to why the crown is bending the knee to Islam. Is it because they feel guilty, they feel bad, they feel, in regret for something that they did or didn't do? There might be an element of this playing out somewhere.
It's definitely karma. I feel it's karma. Everything.
Yeah. Unfortunately, yeah, the basis of these wars is made by the choices of people that have been in power and have abused it. I mean, and we're all
I think it's
serving the
war.
consequences of it.
Just put the leaders in a wrestling match and see who wins. Keep the people out of it and just put the two in the ring.
Well, how about this? We don't need any of these leaders. We should just lead by our own, counsel.
Very true, but I do believe
It's
and
those
I
blood
agree
ties,
with
those
you.
blood ties and the universal tree of life. They're gonna pull you back in. It's like, yeah, the veins of all that is, Raquel, all that is.
And also these
Very
timelines need to
true.
be played out. Like they haven't been played out fully. So we're going to be living
The
while they.
Armageddon every day.
Yeah,
That's how it
basically.
happens. Oh my
Well,
goodness.
we're certainly living in very interesting times, right? But I think it's up to us to flip that switch, if you will, and bring that light in and flip the script on all of these folks, right? It's like they don't have the control over us anymore, right? It's like the more of us that get together and speak our truth, which is what's happening now, right? It's like more and more of us are coming forward and, speaking the truth, and they cannot hide it anymore, right? So they have to, one way or the other, expose themselves. So I think the more we do this sort of work, the better it is for everybody and the collective, right? So I think we're on the right track.
Yeah.
2025 is like going to be that turning point, I feel.
Well, we really hope so. We're ready for a shift into the higher timelines. And I think it's all coming to the light. It's hey, you know what? We got to get to the depth of this truth. I mean, this might be the last war on the planet. And it's all a matter of getting to the depth of the truth. What is it? This is why I wish, the I'm tired of the Brits being docile. I'm tired of the Brits not wanting to take accountability for, what's going on in the monarchy and their government with allowing these draconic invasions and everything that they're doing, and then this mess that's all, dirtied up with them and these contracts of the land. And everybody needs to take accountability right now. Everybody subscribes to a holy book and places this above the value of other life on the planet. I mean, do I think that the Quran is an inverted teaching and it's harmful to humanity? Well, what was the first one? I mean, with the Torah, I mean, I think I talked about this before. It's all about land, whose land it is. I don't know if you've read any of the books in the Torah, but the numbers and all of that, it's literally like, this is the land for the Jews, and I gave this to my son Jacob and Isaac, and this is our land. And it's all about, it's just like, it's really, I think it was a way for these men to, uh, yeah, try to claim some sense of ownership. And maybe they had to bring this book. I mean, because I mean, this goes back to the Hebrew Israelites, the displacement. Was all this land taken for so long that maybe they were a new race at the time? They were just trying to get some land. Like, and then this book was a way to do that. I mean, it might be something so simple, like such a like, but yeah, it's just a intention to try to claim something for themselves, and it's resorted in this, yeah, family karma that's just unfolding and unfolding. And
Marking their territory, right?
yeah,
It's such a male thing to
it's
do,
a
right? Like when
male,
you look
yes,
at it now, Trump is doing the same thing. It's like he's trying to mark his territory, right? He's like, I'll take Canada, I'll take Greenland. You it's like, why?
He might be successful.
Protect.
Yeah,
It
I
would
know.
fade. It would just protect, like the shield maiden, it will protect, or the mama bear protecting her cubs, but never go out and attack and rape and pillage and plunder, just to have more, more, more. That's so masculine.
Yeah. Well, there's that imbalance there too, right? It's the unhealed masculine that's exposing itself, right? So, yeah, there's a lot of healing that needs to take place.
definitely. Well, I
Mm-hmm.
feel like this was a great show tonight, you guys. We definitely dived in and brought all this up to the surface. So as much as we could reveal. I honestly think if we got into channeling mode, we could channel a lot more intuitively. Um, but maybe another time we can do that, especially with the Giza pyramids. I know if we got into it, we could really, I think, bring some stuff forward. But yeah, thank you so much for joining me, you guys, and everyone watching. Thank you so much for tuning in with us. I hope you guys enjoyed this conversation tonight. Be sure to put a big like on this video on your way out and share this out to anyone that you feel would, um, you know, be activated by this information. And We love you all so much. Do you ladies have any last minute messages for everyone or anything you have going on you'd like to let everyone know about?
I was just going to say, you said before for the British to keep your eye on Conor McGregor. He looks like the best bet that they've got in Ireland to maybe do something for all of them. I mean, because they're not looking too good over there.
Yeah, I agree. Conor McGregor. I mean, we might as well. I mean, it's a clown show right now. So let's just throw everything in that we got and let's be colorful and authentic, And I think they should start giving, people outside of the box opportunities. Like Trump, I think was the outside of the box type that came in and I mean, look at this. He might have power and get land just by being a salesman, not having to fight any wars at all, just by convincing people that, a ketchup, uh, uh, there's a word for it. If you can sell a ketchup popsicle to a woman in a white gloves, you're a good salesman, right? Like he's convincing everyone of the ketchup popsicle with a white glove. Like, so he's just got to be good at what he does, and that, I mean, that might be enough. So, and then make people believe that they are choosing something better for themselves, and then maybe they are, but I don't know. I get a sense with Greenland, I think they're going to push back now that they're getting more of an idea of what the agenda is about, because JD Vance just went to Greenland and he spoke. And they're really, I think JD Vance needs to polish up on his etiquette. Like he needs to take some notes out of the Trump playbook a little bit because he's not really selling it. He's making it sound like it's really truly about um, war and um, like military, like protection for America, and that we actually need this. He's coming from a place that it's like, okay, well, how are the people in Greenland going to benefit if this is really just what you want? I also noticed JD Vance pushed that really hard in the Oval Office when they were doing the deal with Zelensky and the rare minerals. Don't be so greedy with what you want, like you're entitled, because you're not entitled. We're not entitled to any of this. Is if two people want to come together and decide that there's something mutually beneficial. That's my kind of whole thing with it.
Yeah, it was a tad aggressive, wasn't it?
Yeah, I don't think you can be just like, well, we want the rare minerals or we want Greenland for military or you got to have some tact in how you're going about stuff because people will read through your true colors. As much as it's a mental war and a psychological war, it's also an energetic war and we talk about being in the time of transparency. I think we're in that time. Transparency means, you know, your true self is being seen. So get right with your internal alignment. If you have any negative agendas, people are going to shoot that down. I think that's going to be necessary for us to come into the new Earth timelines because we have to get good at spotting those things out and clearing them when they come through. Yeah.
You remember that map in? We did work. I'm not sure, but there
Can I
was
add a plug for my website?
a line.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so for the month of April, I'm offering
Sorry,
50%.
Missy, you're cutting out, Missy. You're cutting out.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Raquel.
Did Missy want to say something? Okay, yeah, for the month of April, I'm offering a 50% off on my course, Connecting to Your Higher Self. So if anyone's interested, please go to my website, progressingtothefifth.com. That's progressing to the fifth as the number 5th.com. Thank you very much.
All right, I'll do a plug for myself as well. If anybody's interested in diving deep into the unseen realms and learning how to collect symbols and archetypes and also messages from the quantum, you can go to my website, quantummessages1.com, and I do have a course as well on dream interpretation and how to receive quantum messages. So thank you. Oh yeah, one other thing I wanted to say, since we're all feeling this like crazy kind of energy right now, if you have a local spring near you or, even taking a shower and washing your hair gets the kind of like heavy energy off. And if you have a local spring near you, I highly recommend going to the spring and sitting in the spring, and then also dunking your whole body in the spring as well.
Sounds good. Gonna do some spring dunking myself here soon. It's getting really warm down here. It's already starting to get a little too hot already. So it's gonna be a hot one. Yeah. Um, well, yeah, thank you guys so much. I love you all. This was a great show. I loved it. It was a good conversation. Deep dive. Thank you all for tuning in with us. And be sure to tune in on Sunday night. We got a really good topic on Sunday. We're going to be talking about women's oppressive issues and things that are currently and always happening in the Middle East. There's some new stuff that I don't think we've discussed before that's coming up. So I look forward to diving in with that. We're going to have some new guests on the live roundtable. So I'm excited to introduce everybody to our new people coming on to the live. So it'll be a good time, and I hope to see you there. Set your reminders, and namaste, guys. Take care.